Austin's News Center. This is the Channel 7 News 12 o'clock report.
Good afternoon. It is now day 11 and there's no end in sight to the standoff at the religious compound northeast of Waco. Here is the latest as we know it. Another banner was displayed from one of the compound buildings this morning. Federal agents say other banners displayed yesterday following an appeal from a Dallas radio station caused negotiations to lose their focus. And authorities have released the names of cult members who have been killed or wounded that they know about. We continue to have crews staked out just down the road from the compound site. Channel 7's Mary Benton is there right now. Mary, what's the latest from your end?
Well, Ken, as you said, another sign appeared at the tower window inside the Branch Davidian compound this morning. Cult leader David Koresh apparently still trying to communicate with the media to tell his side of the story. However, authorities say that is only diverting attention away from negotiations to end the 11-day siege. The sign today indicated that the Branch Davidians want members of the Constitutional Foundation Association sent inside the compound along with medical help. This morning, the radio talk host who urged Koresh to send those messages arrived at the compound along with two doctors. They were stopped by the FBI and ATF. Well, Ken, during this morning's news briefing, authorities revealed more about their negotiations with the cult leader. They would not confirm, however, whether electricity was shut off here at the compound overnight. However, they did say that another sect member, a Steve Schneider, has played a very dominant role in talks so far with the negotiators. They say, however, David Koresh's leadership inside still remains a very strong issue.
David Koresh has continually been asked to release additional people. One of the quotes that he gave us was that would violate our God-given views. You have to understand I'm dealing with God, not you. We've attempted to clarify that they will have the right to legal representation and will have a forum in which they will be able to tell their side of the story. We completely control the compound. We have the ability at any time to turn off the electricity or any access that they may have with the outside world. We will utilize that ability at various times.
Radio talk host Ron Eagleman, who I'm not sure we heard from out of Dallas, said that he arrived here just so that he could put an end to what he called it the hostage taking of the FBI and the ATF out here, Ken. He said that the federal government is in effect holding David Koresh and the 100 cult members inside hostages. Ken?
Mary, have negotiators been in contact with any more people inside the compound that you know about?
Well, they said this morning that so far they've talked with about 47 people inside the compound, and many of them have inquired about the charges they might face if this standoff and when this standoff comes to an end. Authorities, however, are trying to convince those sect members that they will have a legal right to representation to a lawyer. They will also have an opportunity to tell their story if they peacefully walk out of the compound. Ken?
Thank you, Mary. Mary Benton reporting live from northeast of Waco. Also this morning, federal agents released the names of the known dead and wounded inside the cult compound. The identified dead are said to be Peter Gent, an Australian who his body was buried Monday on the compound grounds. The body removed from the compound last week has now been identified as Michael Schroeder. The wounded have been identified as cult leader David Koresh. The FBI says Koresh has a gunshot wound to his left side and wrist. Others wounded are Judy Schneider Koresh, Scott Kohiro Sonobi, and David Michael Jongs. All are said to be wounded by gunshots. The FBI said this morning that they believe at least a couple of nurses and possibly a doctor's assistant are among those inside the compound and have been treating the wounded. Also today, federal authorities identified a Waco area man who was recently arrested for allegedly taking part in the February 28th shootout between federal agents and the Branch Davidians. Woodrow Kendrick has been charged with attempted murder of a federal agent and also with violating federal weapons laws.
Mr. Kendrick is being charged with attempted homicide of one of our agents, that he did in fact shoot at one of our agents. That would lead one to believe that he was either in the compound or he engaged our people outside.
Authorities declined to say how Kendrick might have eluded authorities at the compound. Once the standoff ends, cult members will apparently have plenty of legal help. A prominent Houston attorney, Dick DeGuerin, has agreed to take the case of David Koresh. He has filed papers in Waco asking a judge to give him unrestricted access to the cult leader. And an international Christian legal aid group called Cause says it's been lining up Texas attorneys to represent other cult members. So the standoff drags on, no end in sight. Here's what we know as of right now. Federal agents continue the negotiation process. David Koresh continues to say he is waiting for a message from God, although agents say he sometimes would rather talk about media attention than surrendering. And authorities have now identified 2 cult members who were killed and 4 others who have been wounded. More news still to come here on Channel 7. Another suspect arrested in New York today in connection with the World Trade Center bombing. And Jim Maddox says he won't run for the U.S. Senate after all. Details coming up on Channel 7, Austin's News Center.